Well, Jim, I was tooling around early this morning and I saw this line of fin Mopars, which, pretty impressive to begin with. But then I looked at every one of them, and the closer I looked, the more I saw. I love them all, but this Saratoga is killer. 57 Saratoga. I'm not sure I've ever seen one.
Not many of them around.
Where did that fit in the lineup?
So the hierarchy of the Chryslers in 57 started off with a Windsor, then you had a Saratoga, then you had a New Yorker. So for the mainstream models, this would be a mid-tier model. Then, of course, you had the Luxury Performance Special Edition 57, which was the Chrysler 300, which was a C in 57.
Right.
So this kind of fell mid-grade. And what makes this car really special is that it was an executive order car by a Chrysler employee. So the paint code is ZZZ on it, which means it's paint to sample. So there's no paint code for this car. There's no names for these colors. It might actually be a one-off color combination.
Well, and that's what caught my eye, because I'm like, wow, that's really an interesting color. It looks like a stock color. I mean, it looks like a factory color, but it's one I've never seen.
And what was interesting is when I got the car, the closest match would be Shell Pink, which was a paler pink. And Deep Ruby Poly was more of a burgundy, but that's more of like an eggplant purpley color. So during the restoration, I had to find samples of, unscathed paint, whether it be under the emblems, the sections under the trim, and throughout those various areas of, unworn color, I was able to color match just by mixing by eye, essentially.
Seriously? So what kind of shape was it in when you found it?
It looked better than it was. Oh. So it was a car that lived its life in northern Jersey. It was bought in a dealership in Paramus, and it lived its life in Paramus. And it was stored from 1970 until 2013 when I got it, but it had a bit of a hard life. The people who owned it originally used it to go back and forth to Florida with an Airstream trailer. So it had a trailer hitch on it. And I have documentation from him buying it in September of 57, which is interesting because 58s would have been coming out that time. So
he bought a 57
in late 57.
He probably got a deal on it.
Probably a great deal. And my guess is, being that it was an executive order, it was probably the dealership owner who bought this car for his wife, and every year she got a new special ordered car, and when she was done with it, she got her 58. This probably went on the lot.
So was it pretty rusty?
It was. It had a lot of hit and rust, so it must have had a makeover somewhere in the late 60s.
So it's a lot of extra parts on here, different from different cars?
In the restoration, yes. I had to fabricate the inner rockers, the floor pans. It's a power seat car, which is one of the many options this car had, which is rare for this model. So this floor pan is different than a car with manual seats because there's a well that houses the mechanism for the front seat. So I had to basically use what was left and repattern everything from scratch, and basically hand fabricated the floors. Inner rockers, the outer rockers are shop panels, which are early reproduction full rockers that I used. This quarter panel, I had to modify a 57 Dodge section of a quarter panel. So basically from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, it's a 57 Dodge quarter panel with the wheel well. The rest is hand fabricated. The other quarter panel was sourced from a four-door hardtop New Yorker parts car that I had.
Holy cow.
And that car also gave up its hood and inner wheel wells.
Oh my goodness.
So the original hood had a lot of flexing cracks, so instead of welding and doing work to it, I just went for the rust-free hood. One fender on this side came from a friend of mine out in California, rust-free original. The passenger side fender was actually off of the 58 New Yorker, and I had to modify a section of the front because 57 and 8 has a little difference behind the grille because the grills are different from one year to the other. But the hull of the fender is the same from 57 to 58.
So there's not an original fender on this car?
No. The upper quarter panels, the doors, the roof, and the trunk of the car is actually 2 different cars worth of trunks that I kind of pieced together to make it look like one perfect trunk. So there was a lot of fabrication involved to make it what it is now.
How long did it take you to do all this?
This car was taken apart in 2014, and I probably worked on it for about 6 months in 14, then about 3 months in 15, and then I just basically picked up right before Christmas of last year and went hard on it to try and debut it at Carlisle this past summer. So if you add up the time, I probably have about 2 years cumulative into it.
That is not much time at all for so much work. How did it do at Carlisle, by the way?
Good.
I bet. I would imagine. Was it Chrysler Carlisle?
Chrysler Carlisle,
They must have loved this.
That's my staple show every year. I've been trying to debut a car per year for the past 10 years there, and this is my latest. And this kind of got interrupted a lot. I built actually 13 other cars in the time that this car had gaps in production on it.
So it wasn't like you were goofing off?
No.
yeah.
I was going to work 40 hours a week, enjoying my
doing-
family, and then fitting this in.
My goodness. So the front bumper looks re-chromed, is it?
The front bumper is re-chromed. Actually, that's the only re-chromed part on the whole car. The bumperettes are original, the lower bumper is original.
And is this stainless steel?
This is stainless steel, so
Okay.
I just polish all the stainless steel. It's a mix of original and 2 donor cars, so probably 3 of the total pieces of side stainless might be original to the car. The hood ornaments are a rare option, available only on Saratoga, I learned during the restoration. So those aren't really common. Probably
No.
25% or less Saratogas actually have that option.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And those are original. There's some light pitting on them, but if you replate that, you lose all that detail.
Well, you do.
So it
And,
was,
I mean, I see the pitting, but I don't think I'd touch it.
yeah, it's a conundrum. Do I make it shiny and look incorrect, or show that it's seen some stuff over the years and it's still there, you know?
Well, I dig the roof because, you know, this color is very interesting, which say ZZZ, we don't know what it is. And then this, because it's got some metal flake in it,
Yes.
and it's kind of, what would you call that?
The best I could come up with is eggplant metallic.
That's
the
descriptive.
The original colors on these cars were called iridescents. They weren't called metallics yet. And the Chrysler products were the first to start using enamel paint, where GM and Ford were still using lacquer. So the iridescents actually had what I was told is a glass particulate in it. So it was colored glass in the paint that looked like a metallic.
Oh, so it's almost like pearl, really. I mean,
More or less,
early
yeah.
version of pearl.
Yeah.
And the interior, like the back seat, looks completely original and correct. Looks like the front seat bottom's been redone.
The
or
front
what?
seat bottom, yeah. Unfortunately, that's the only section of the seating that isn't original. The cloth didn't survive over the years.
Yeah.
It did have seat covers over it, which preserved everything else. But the type of foam they used on the front seat cushion
just
degraded. It turned to cornmeal.
Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
the backrest, the rear seat base, and top are all done with jute padding.
Ah, okay.
So the interior is completely original except for the carpet, the bottom half of the front seat, and the dash pad is from RD Autoline in Sweden. They do excellent
I was
reproduction
just going to
molded
say,
dashes.
that thing is just beautiful. That thing's like brand new. And what a great steering wheel.
Yep, that's an original too. Unfortunately, it has one crack right at 12 o'clock, so you see it while you're driving. But
Oh, well, yeah.
to find an original two-tone wheel in that good of shape, it's not worth trying to recast it over one little crack.
No, not
And,
at all.
yeah, and it's
power windows?
power windows, power seat, search tune radio. It has the padded visors. Those are just some of the
Jeez.
oddball options on a car of this model.
How about is the headliner original?
The headliner is original. Wow. And it has the courtesy lighting package too, so there's map lights.
So cool.
for driver and
And how
passenger.
about the package tray back there? Because that's in beautiful shape
The
too.
package tray I did remake. So
Okay.
the actual cardboard aspect of it is Yucca board that I
Yeah, yeah.
painted and distressed. But this vinyl is original to it. Tell you the truth of the story was I was trying to put the original one back in, and as I was pushing it under the gasket, it just shattered in my hands. It was just too weak from age, and it was a very thin. I guess I could say it's almost like a masonite originally,
yeah.
more like just a heavy duty cardboard.
And then of course, ridiculous fins, and these taillights are, they're stunning.
Yeah, the taillights, I was very lucky to find NOS lenses. They are non-genuine Chrysler. They're not glow brights though. I'm not sure what the brand was. They were kind of unpackaged when I got them. But those are reproductions that were NOS, probably from the early 60s.
Oh, really? Oh, so that's interesting. They're NOS reproduction.
Yes.
How about that? Wow.
The reverse lenses are original to the car, as are the bezels, and the rear bumper and all the trimming.
Yeah, I see some, pitting in this pot metal, but again, I think that
It's kind of the character of the car. If I could go back and give myself 3 more months to have time to finish it, I probably should have sent the bezels out and the bumpers to get replated.
well,
but,
another 10 grand or
yeah,
so.
but
But I saw it with the hood open earlier, and we should go talk about that.
Let's talk
engine.
about
Let's
that.
do that. Okay, Jim, let's have a look. Oh, yeah, that's what I saw. Now, it's stunning, but one thing about Mopars is the engine bay's always body color, and I always think of that from a muscle car standpoint. I didn't realize it actually went back into did it go all the way back?
This was probably the beginning of the body-colored engine compartments, but only on Chryslers. So a Plymouth, a Dodge, or a DeSoto would still have black wheel wells.
Oh,
Some
okay.
DeSotos actually had a gray metallic wheel well
I
for
think
some
I've seen
reason.
that. I've seen
yeah,
that.
which is really strange that they kind of painted them separately, maybe just to show that it was an upgrade. But the Chryslers were the only ones that were body color, and even during the restoration, that was one of the original rubber flaps and was painted from the factory as well.
No
so
kidding?
I emulated that feature just to kind of give some continuity to originality.
So it's a Hemi.
It is a Hemi.
Did it come with the Hemi?
The Saratoga didn't. This car originally was equipped with a 354 Spitfire Poly,
Right.
which was the previous year's 354 Hemi. I don't want to say detuned because it made 5 more horsepower than the actual Hemi with poly heads on it. But it was a 4-barrel 354, and it was a nice running engine. The car itself, I think, is just getting ready to turn 90,000 actual miles. But since it had to come out for the restoration process anyway, I did have a 300C drivetrain, which was a 57 Chrysler engine. So I just gave this
That's
one.
a 354 also?
This is a 392.
That's 392. So you just had that laying around.
Yeah.
Everybody has that.
Ironically enough, this engine came to me with a Plymouth a few cars down in the line, which is a whole different story. So
This is just stunning. So that was a dual quad engine and everything?
Correct, yes. It's a solid lifter engine too. And normally the plug wires on a 57, 58 or any of the early Hemis would be covered, but it kind of takes away from the fact of being a Hemi. Everybody likes seeing the plug wires.
Yeah.
So I removed the wire cover brackets to expose these dimples. So these dimples are actually more or less a status symbol when it comes to first-gen Hemis, because those clear the adjusters on the rocker arms for the non-hydraulic
is that
lifters.
right?
Yeah.
I did not know
So it
that.
is a mechanical lifter engine. The hydraulic lifter engines have a smooth valve cover between the plugs.
Interesting. So, and you're still rocking a generator?
Yes, and the only reason why I kept that generator, that's another rare option. It's a high amperage. I want to say it's 80 amp.
It is big.
Depending on sources. So because this car has so many power accessories, those are normally an upgrade to an air-conditioned car, which is why it has dual grooves, but only
Right.
one has been used.
This does not have AC.
Does not have AC though, that's the only thing it didn't have. But an interesting option that it did have that was removed in 1960 at the dealership was gasoline-fired heat.
Oh,
So this-
I had that in a Volkswagen thing. That's not a good idea.
So for one reason or another, he did take it to the dealership and they switched it back over. And
So
at
now
first-
it's hot water.
It is hot water, yeah. And at first I didn't know why I was seeing a few extra contraptions in the ductwork. There was a couple extra electronic sensors. There was a thermostatic coupling in there, and I'd never seen that before in all the other 5789s I had. And a friend of mine had decoded the body tag when I posted it on Facebook, and he said, my goodness, he's like, you had a gasoline-fired
I
heater
didn't
car.
know they even did that. The Volkswagen was the only car I ever knew that did that. And
So
it was,
apparently 57 at least and up. I do have a complete gasoline-fired heater system for a 59 I want to use one
it's
day.
like as if it didn't get bad enough gas mileage to begin with. Let's run
burn
the
some
heater
more.
off
Yep.
gas.
It was instant heat though.
It was like that.
Usually
What's
it's-
this contraption?
The bellows, that's a power brake booster.
It's an interesting looking booster.
Yeah, so that as it actuates, you'll actually watch the bellows compress.
I was wondering about that. I mean, it looks like an accordion.
It is, yeah, it's essentially an accordion.
No kidding.
And it's a cantilever setup, so if you picture it as you step on the brake,
Uh-huh.
the cantilever aspect of it's coming towards the driver, so that accordion pushes towards the driver to assist applying the brakes.
Does it play any tunes?
No,
it's a
no,
pity.
sometimes you hear a little swoosh. That's about it.
It's just, you do such fantastic work.
Oh, thank you.
Close this baby back up. And again, I mean, I saw this one and it just knocked my socks off. But this entire line is ones that you did, right?
Yeah, except for this. This is a friend of mine, and we're all in the same club that friends of mine and I started, the Forward Look Owners Club, dedicated to the Forward Look era Mopars.
Oh, Virgil Exner's.
Virgil Exner's design.
So this one is
That's a 58 Savoy.
followed by the,
58 Sport Suburban.
which is very rare.
Yes.
And then the purple
The
one,
purple one's 58 Fury.
and then Christine.
Christine is essentially a textbook 58 Belvedere.
Man, I'm telling you, Jim, you really do some fine work, and you do it quick.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Why, thank you.
57 Chrysler Saratoga in the wildest colors I've ever seen.
Yep, with no names. I call it Audrey Pink since her name's Audrey.
Thanks for bringing it out. This is just too cool.
Oh, thanks for noticing it.